Hi, a couple of really interesting articles. The first article is fascinating. The Sugar Conspiracy in The Guardian. Heart attacks. 1920, they were rare. 2013, the most common cause of death. So what happened? In the 1960s, the nutritional elite is established in positions of power, with Ansel Keys as a leading figure. They claim fat is the problem, fat causes heart attacks, red meat, cheese, butter, eggs. The most prominent study that supports this claim is called the Seven Countries Study, but this is a completely flawed study. Read the article for details. This claim has never been proved, but still, they viciously attack anyone who disagrees. In 1972, John Judkin noted that while humans have always been carnivorous, we started eating carbohydrates only 10,000 years ago, with the advent of agriculture, and sugar only 300 years ago. He thought that sugar is dangerous to our health, not fat, but the nutritional elite and the food industry destroyed his career. The same year, Dr. Atkins published Dr. Atkins' Diet Revolution. He also thinks it is carbohydrates and not fat that are dangerous. The nutritional elite also attacked him with a hate campaign. Atkins was labeled a fraud and his diet a fad. In the 1980s, the US and the UK dietary guidelines are issued. The most prominent advice was to cut back on saturated fats and cholesterol, so people replaced steak with pasta and rice, butter with margarine and vegetable oils, eggs with cereals, milk with low-fat milk or orange juice. The result? Instead of becoming healthier, we grew fatter and sicker. Obesity skyrocketed after 1980. In 1950, 12% of Americans were obese, 15% in 1980, and 35% in 2000. Only recently it has been denounced the unscientific way in which the nutritional elite operates. In her book, The Big Fat Surprise, Nina Teicholz documents how the claim that saturated fat causes heart disease was accepted as truth not by new evidence but by power, and how they attack those who disagree. She has also been attacked. Gary Tubbs points out that the nutritional elite were mostly epidemiologists, laboring in relative ignorance of biochemistry and endocrinology, the study of hormones, and that this led to some of the foundational mistakes of modern nutrition. In his new book, Always Hungry, David Ludwig, an endocrinologist, indicates that carbohydrates, namely starches and sugars, raise blood sugar rapidly. This triggers the production of the insulin hormone. Insulin leads to fat deposition. When insulin levels are continuously high, a person gains weight, gets hungrier, and feels fatigued. What does the new evidence tell us? The new evidence shows that fat does not cause heart disease. Also, fat does not cause obesity. Controlled trials have repeatedly failed to show that people lose weight on low-fat or low-calorie diets over the long term. More than 50 studies suggest that low-carbohydrate diets are better than low-fat diets for achieving weight loss and controlling type 2 diabetes. However, the 2015 edition of the US Dietary Guidelines makes no reference to any of this new research. And now the second article. This study 40 years ago could have reshaped the American diet, but it was never fully published in the Washington Post. In the late 1960s and early 70s, in the Minnesota Coronary Experiment, one of the largest, most rigorous experiments ever conducted, researchers engaged thousands of institutionalized mental patients to compare two diets. One diet was intended to reduce heart disease. It contained less saturated fat, less cholesterol, and more vegetable oil. Today, this diet, less saturated fat, more vegetable oils, is recommended by the US dietary guidelines. The other diet was a more typical American diet. But the Minnesota experiment showed just the opposite. People on the special diet suffered more heart-related deaths and were dying at a higher rate. The Minnesota experiment was never published. One of the lead investigators of the trial was Ansel Keys. We leave you, dear readers, to draw your own conclusions. Thanks for watching. Bye now.